What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. This is the first career mode video I've made since getting back from the UK, so apologies about the lengthy break. There was nothing much I could really do. I did my best to pre-record in advance for these videos, but these videos take so damn long to make that it just wasn't possible to keep up the daily uploads. But I'm back now, and hopefully we can smash out the rest of Season 2. This is the Monaco Grand Prix. We're jumping straight into qualifying here. Pretty much breezed through the weekend, practice program-wise. Pace was always very, very good, and I didn't have to do too much setup work. I didn't have to do too much in terms of my own driving to make things work, and so I was able to get on with the job very, very early on in this weekend. But you may have noticed already, but there is currently no game sound. I was able to fix it up a little bit for the race. It's a little bit patchy here and there, but for qualifying at least, it wasn't there, so you're gonna have to put up with some music for a little bit. But qualifying 2, we went out on the ultra soft tyres, the middle compound, to try and open up the race for us later on. We managed to get through to Q3 on the middle compound, which we were the only person in the field to do so. So heading into the race, we have an enormous amount of flexibility in terms of how long we can go into the race before making our pit stop. And given the strategy around this circuit, it's going to come in clutch for us, hopefully, if we can get the track position. But here we are for qualifying 3 now. This is where it all counts, to see if we can get pole position for this Monaco Grand Prix. If we can't, I at least want to be on the front 2 rows. We'll have to wait and see. We did also have some upgrades come in for this race. I believe it was a tire wear upgrade, a major tire wear upgrade. We had rear downforce upgrade and fuel efficiency upgrade as well. So those will all help us massively in the race. But so far, this lap in Q3 is looking pretty good so far. We've managed to hit all the apexes, no major mistakes, which is nice to see. I think the target is probably like a low 1 minute 8. You can see Vettel has done an 8.7 there, so hopefully we can topple him on this lap. Through to the 3rd sector now, and the favorite part of this entire circuit, through to back 5th gear. Absolutely fly through there, make this circuit as wide as possible through the final chicane. Absolutely fly it over the chicane as well, mounting the curb down into Rascasse. I went in a little bit too deep there, and that might cost me a little bit of time on the exit of the final corner. A bit of wheel spin and oversteer, but otherwise a very, very solid lap. Pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix, at least provisionally, by 5/10. What a lap. That is quite the lap. So 5/10 clear of Lewis Hamilton. I decided with only a couple of minutes to go to go back out there again. We're actually going out on the same set of hyper soft tires to see if we can better our time. I'm pretty sure we've got pole position in the bag here, but I just wanted to see if I could edge the marker even further with a used set and keep one spare set of hypers for the race. Across the line, it wasn't quite there in terms of an improvement, but it is pole position nonetheless. For the Monaco Grand Prix, 2.5 tenths clear of Sebastian Vettel, and crucially, tire-wise, we've got one fresh set of hypers for the race to use, and we are starting on the ultra soft tire. So heading into this race, we can go really, really long. We can do like half the race, like 3/4 of the race if we really want to, if the tire wear is good. We have done a tire wear upgrade, so we can go pretty long if we look after the tires, but man, we're in a really, really good position for this race. We have the track position, we have the tire strategy. It's almost just a given. As long as we don't clean bowl ourselves, we should be able to win this race, and that is the expectation now with the car as fast as what it is. It's time for the race. So here we are then for the Monaco Monaco Grand Prix. This is round number 6 of Season 2 of F1 2018 Career Mode. This race is imperative for our championship hopes. I think we're trailing Hamilton by 18 points. So if we can get a win today, we'll at least close him in by 7 points, no matter where he finishes. So I'll have to wait and see. Looking at the strategy there, we can do the Ultras to Hypers strategy if we want to, but it's saying it's 10 seconds a lap slower. Not 10 seconds a lap, 10 seconds slower overall. So I'm not too sure if that's entirely accurate. To be honest, we have done a major tire wear upgrade, so maybe the the deficit is maybe a little bit less, but it hasn't accounted for that because I don't think I did any race strategy for this race. I managed to pass all the practice programs before even getting to the race strategy, so I didn't even need to do that. But in terms of the actual strategy, we're going to play this really, really long. We're going to overcut everyone behind us and just react to what they do. They're going to get held up in traffic by the midfield runners, and we've gone for a really low fuel strategy as well. We're not going to use all of it. We're going to be saving the engine a little bit and the gearbox. We'll have to wait and see how that goes over the entirety of this race. 5 red lights and away we go with this Monaco Grand Prix. A bit of wheel spin off the start, but I don't think it's anything to worry about as we head into turn 1. Pretty much clear at the front. Vettel and Bottas running side by side up the hill towards Casino Square for the first time, and we're pretty much stretching the legs. Extending the lead as everyone else kind of squabbles and fights for position behind. This is the perfect opportunity for us to just chill, see what the car is like. Vettel going around the outside. One of the Mercedes there has to tuck into third, and that is that battle sorted. But going through, the Lowe's hairpin for the first time, this is always a bit of a car park, as you can see back there. There are so many slow cars back there. I think there was a Toro Rosso as well, who was stopped before they even got to the hairpin. We'll have to scroll back through. I think that was Brendan Hartley. I think he had a crash on his own before he even got up to the pack. So that was pretty weird for those guys. But back at the front, you can see Bottas really putting the pressure on in the middle sector. On this lap, I was just saving a little bit of fuel because we're down by 2 laps of fuel, I believe. Just testing the waters, seeing what it was like versus Bottas. It looks like he's got a lot of straight line speed at the moment, as you come to expect. But as we head on to lap 2, I'm now going to burn a lot of fuel. I'm going to push the tyres a little bit and see what this car is really capable of. I think this will be our best chance, at least in this first stint of the race, to see what the car can do fastest lap-wise. After this, we'll have to go into our shell a little bit and look after the rear tyres and look after the rear temperatures more crucially. Otherwise, they'll start to overheat too much and they'll pretty much be unusable. They'll start to melt. As we saw last season, I think it was, I melted the Hypersoft tyres at the end of my first stint. And there was a drastic drop-off in performance when that happened. But yeah, like you can see, we're just pushing the limits at the moment. We're seeing what the car can do. For the most part in this race, I think the game plan is actually going to be to back up the field a little bit, at least for the opening few laps. So we're going to push for this first lap. Get the fastest lap of the race, potentially. And after that, we'll cruise. We'll go back into our shell a little bit. We're up by 5.5 seconds as we go through this final chicane. Leaving a little bit of margin against the walls. We're not going completely crazy yet. We still got like 37 laps to go through the final corner. Always miss the apex there. I don't know why, but the final corner is deceptively difficult. But we cross the line, do 11.0, and that is the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. DRS enabled, and now we can stick to the game plan. So, like I said, we're going to back the field up a little bit because everyone behind us is on Hypersoft tyres and they're going to be stopping quite early, and it makes sense if I save my tyres, save my gearbox, save my fuel a little bit early while these guys are trapped behind me. Because once they stop, it's better if the field is more compressed, because once they do stop, they'll rejoin in more traffic, if that makes sense. And it makes sense as well for us as well to go slow a little bit early on to make the tyres last a little bit longer in the race. But lap 5, we didn't have to do much sandbagging, to be honest. It was only like 2 laps of sandbagging, and pretty much all the leaders are in for their first of 2 stops. Potentially. It depends on how good the tyre wear is for some of these runners. They are going on to the ultra soft tyres, and it will be a stretch to make it to the end from here. But I think anyone going on to ultras now will have to stop again in this race. So that even further just plays into my my strategy a little bit. As we cross the line, we're still trying to truck on a little bit. I was, pushing a little bit for the opening few laps after everyone else made their stops, just to make sure that no one could really undercut me. But to be honest, I really don't think that's going to be something to worry about. There's going to be so much traffic behind. For everyone who started outside the top 10, they're going to be running deep into this race on their ultras or even their supers, and holding up everyone who stopped inside the top 10. So yeah, just pushing on. You can see this is the running order at the moment. This is Lewis Hamilton, who is effectively in P2, held up behind Toro Rossos, held up behind Williams. Many cars, and we're out front running our own race. Pretty much looking after the car, looking after the tyres, and extending the gap at the exact same time. this strategy really is OP here in Monaco. And this is why you see all the top teams running so long into the race, waiting for a gap to emerge after they can overcut the midfield runners. It's an effective strategy, and unfortunately, the AI on F1 2018, they don't make use of that, and they pay massively. With that out of the way, let's try and deconstruct the rest of this race now. One thing that probably wasn't portrayed very well in the making of this video is how fragile the car was heading into the second half of this race. You can see the gearbox is at 71% there, and the engineer was warning me of missing gears over the course of this race. We actually already missed fourth gear. It was an intermittent issue, which was missing for a couple of laps, but now it's returned again, so hopefully that won't be too much of an occurrence for us. Now, team radio.
I can't believe that we just had to pit. Please inform me of what is the next option I have.
So, Lewis, this is going to be a race to the end.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton not happy there. I think Esteban Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg, who were originally running in P2 and 3, before making their pit stop, they made their pit stop, and they also rejoined in second and third again. That is the overcut working absolutely brilliantly for those guys. As I absolutely smash my headset wire out of the way. But anyway, getting way too excited about this race. Yeah, Lewis is obviously very, very frustrated. He's made all these stops, and it's not worked out for him. He has no track position, and it looks like for the rest of this race, he is stuck behind that traffic unless he can go for that risky dive bomb. But I don't know. I don't know if he's actually going to do that, but now you can see we have even lapped Valtteri Bottas. We've lapped our teammates, we've lapped Daniel Ricciardo, I believe, as well, and now you can see we're missing fourth gear once again, so the issue is back. Unfortunately, because the sound was missing, I wasn't able to play some of the team radios that I was getting from the team, which is really, really annoying because it really added to the drama of this race. It was a real test to make sure that we managed the car to get to the end of this race. And here goes Bottas on fresh super soft tyres around the outside. I'm missing gears and really starting to suffer in terms of car performance now that he goes round the outside and unlaps himself in this Monaco Grand Prix. So there you go. We have kind of lost track position. We've lost a lot of time there squabbling with Bottas, and now I think it's time to dive it into the pits, get ourselves out of this battle, and retake the lead of this Grand Prix once again. I was thinking about going on to the Hypersoft tyres. What is my car doing in the pit lane? I don't know. That's like, what? Skippy the Bush Kangaroo or something? Just bouncing along the pit lane? That's what you want to see. Nice glitch. But anyway, into the pit lane now. We are going to go onto the super soft tyres. I've been hyping up the Hypersoft tyres to finish this race on all weekend, but then it only crossed my mind in the final like 5 laps before pitting that maybe that's not possible because of the possibility of not using the mandatory compound. So I didn't want to get disqualified in this race, and I didn't want to have to make an extra pit stop, so I decided to play it safe and just go onto the harder compound and just bring it home to the end. So this is going to be a very, very short stint on the super soft tyres. We went so far into the race on our ultras. We went like 10, 12 laps further than what we should have. So we managed the tyres brilliantly over the course of this race. And now it means for the rest of it, we can pretty much punch the tyres and it'll be a non-issue for us. So we're going to punch in fastest lap after fastest lap for the remaining laps of this Grand Prix. 1 minute 10 points, so we smash our previous best by 8/10. And at this point, the victory is assured. We got fourth gear back again, so we were able to get back in our rhythm. When I was missing fourth gear, it really knocked around my rhythm and kind of meant that I couldn't drive or push normally like I would have. But last lap of the Grand Prix, we're pretty secure now. I'm just going hell for leather trying to get the fastest lap. Maybe pushing a little bit too much given what's at stake here for this race, but I knew that I wasn't going to crash. It was absolutely fine. The gap is 8 seconds behind, and now we're going to come across the line and win our second race of the season. This time, we're just absolutely unstoppable.
Absolutely fantastic. It's a brilliant result. Well done.
Brilliant stuff from Sauber today. What a superb victory. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
Oh, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, We could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
So, here they come out now onto the podium after a thrilling Grand Prix. It just goes to show what a strong position the sport is in, that these independent teams can be so competitive. What a superb victory from the Sauber team.
Honestly, I don't know what to say about this weekend. It was just absolutely perfect. We nailed the strategy. We pushed absolutely when we needed to push. Got a bit risky there with Bottas towards the end of the Grand Prix, but otherwise, that is, I don't want to say a masterclass, but that is the way that you go about winning the Grand Prix in almost the easiest way possible. That was just supremely managed. We got ourselves out of the traffic, ran a consistent race, and for the most of the race, I wasn't really pushing. To be completely honest with you guys, I was looking after the tyres and looking after the engine, and the midfield runners behind me did most of the work, and that was pretty easy. I will certainly take that. Only 1 point separating myself and Hamilton at the top of the standings.
Great work out there today. How do you think it went? How are you feeling after that win?
I don't know, pretty happy, pretty relieved. Momentum is certainly on our side now.
Things are looking up after last week, aren't they?
What do you mean by that? Last week was pretty good too. We got a podium.
Your team must be ecstatic with how you're performing.
Oh, I'd hope so. It's been a pretty good run so far.
Everything went your way today. It looked like you had a really good strategy for the race.
I did, yeah. Like I said, perfect strategy, perfect weekend.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Thanks, Claire. And that is the end of the Monaco Grand Prix weekend. Pretty much stormed the whole weekend. Was that like a full house? You get the fastest lap, you get the pole position, and the race victory as well. There was not a moment this weekend where we looked out of place, I would say. So that, by all accounts, is the perfect weekend. But guys, that has been this episode for today, the Monaco Grand Prix. Make sure you smash a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. We've got like 1,700 odd resource points to spend now. That is a ridiculous amount to spend. What are we going to go for? I think I'm going to go for a gearbox durability upgrade. That's kind of a problem I don't want to run into in future episodes. We're going to go for a major weight redistribution upgrade. Or are we? No, actually, we're going to go for the drag reduction. I feel like, even though our engine performance is good, drag reduction could actually be better. We'd sometimes lose out a little bit at the top end of straights, and if we have less drag, it'll help us at the end of straights. Our acceleration up to, like, the top end gears is fine, but then when we get there, it is a little bit lacking sometimes, if that makes sense. But anyway, the car is very, very good as it is. We've got an ultimate upgrade heading our way very, very soon for the Canadian Grand Prix. Hopefully that can go on the car, and if it does, that's going to be a game changer. But this championship is only heating up now. 1 point separating myself and Hamilton. The car is getting better. I'm getting better. And we'll see what the response is from the rest of the AI. That's it from me today. Until the next video, the Canadian Grand Prix. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully we can take the championship lead in that one. Until then, laters.